If you receive Social Security in 2026 and you get an overpayment notice from the SSA, your monthly check will be reduced. And for many retirees, that reduction has already started or will start in the next payment cycle. This affects retirees and disability beneficiaries receiving OASDI benefits. And what you lose is real monthly cash flow, not a theoretical adjustment. Starting this year, if the Social Security Administration determines you were overpaid and you do not respond correctly and on time, up to 50% of your monthly benefit is withheld automatically. There is no second warning once this process begins. Subscribe to the channel and stay until the end, because many people believe this does not apply to them, and that belief is exactly why the withholding starts without them realizing what happened. The critical mistake most beneficiaries make is assuming that an overpayment notice is informational, optional, or something that can be dealt with later. Many people believe that Social Security will pause, explain, or confirm before touching their check. In 2026, that assumption is wrong. The system does not wait for understanding. It waits for action. And if no action is taken, recovery begins. Another common error is assuming that small discrepancies do not matter. Beneficiaries often believe that a minor income change from years ago, a short period of work, or an administrative delay could not possibly affect their current benefits. In reality, overpayments are often identified years later, and the timing of the notice has nothing to do with when the original issue occurred. When the notice arrives, the clock starts immediately. What makes this especially dangerous is that the loss does not show up as a separate penalty or fee. It shows up as a smaller deposit. Many beneficiaries notice the reduction only after the money is already gone. And by that point, the default withholding is active. This is not about learning Social Security rules in theory. This is about understanding that in 2026, the SSA operates with automated recovery systems that assume non-compliance unless the beneficiary intervenes. If you believe your check is fixed, predictable, or protected by default, you are relying on an assumption that no longer holds. In the next part, we will break down exactly how this withholding is triggered, why so many people miss the window to stop it, and what documents and deadlines actually matter before your income is reduced further. All right, let's get right into it. Thousands of people right now are looking at their Social Security check and realizing it has suddenly gotten smaller. And here's the thing, it's not because of some new law that just got passed. Nope, it's because a powerful automated system has been flipped on. And we are going to break down exactly what that means for you. Just imagine that for a second. You check your bank account expecting that familiar deposit, the one you absolutely rely on, and it's way smaller than it should be. The first thing you're going to ask is why? What happened? Well, if this is you, you are definitely not alone. And the answer is, well, it's both complicated and surprisingly simple. And we're not talking about a small change here. For a lot of folks getting retirement or disability benefits, the amount being held back can be as high as 50% of their monthly payment. Think about that. A $2,000 check suddenly becomes a $1,000 check. That is a massive, massive blow to anyone's budget. Now, what's really important to understand is that this isn't some new policy you missed on the nightly news. This is all happening because of an internal process inside the Social Security Administration. It's an automated system designed to do one thing: get back money it thinks you were overpaid. So how in the world does a piece of mail, a simple letter from the SSA, turn into a smaller check in your bank account? Let's trace the steps, because there's a very specific chain of events that triggers this whole thing. The official name for this is overpayment recovery. It's basically the SSA's process for clawing back money they believe you were paid by mistake. And the real kicker? This so-called mistake could have happened years ago and you might not have even had a clue. And this slide right here, this shows the whole sequence perfectly. First, the system flags a possible overpayment. Second, they mail you a notice. Now, step 3 is the absolute linchpin of this whole process. You missed the response deadline on that notice. If that happens, step 4 kicks in all by itself. The system just starts taking money from your checks automatically. Okay, so that brings up a really big question, right? If they send out a warning notice, why are so many people missing it? Well, it really comes down to the nature of these overpayments and the way the notices are written. You see, these overpayments often happen for reasons that are totally out of your control. It might be that the SSA's data is lagging behind the IRS's data. Or maybe you reported a change in your job, but the agency was slow to process it. It's almost never about someone trying to cheat the system. It's usually just bureaucratic delays and data mix-ups. And this is the real psychological trap. The notice you get in the mail might be talking about your earnings from, say, 4 or 5 years ago, because it's about something that happened so long ago. The letter can feel like it's just an FYI, something for your records. It doesn't scream urgent action required, but believe me, it is, because if you don't act on that notice, the consequences are immediate and they are severe. The second that deadline passes, the whole power dynamic flips. You go from being a person who's been notified of an issue to someone who's actively having their benefits taken. The source material we looked at couldn't be clearer on this. It says, and I quote, "Once the response deadline expires, the beneficiary loses control over the repayment process." That's it. At that moment, the SSA's automated system is in the driver's seat, and its only goal is to get that money back. So, what exactly do you lose control of? Well, for starters, the timing. The SSA decides when to start taking the money. You lose control of your cash flow because they set the rate they're going to take. And maybe most importantly, you could lose your right to appeal or even ask for a waiver, because those things have their own strict deadlines. Here's the bottom line. This system does not stop to ask if you can actually afford to lose half of your income. It is designed to just go ahead and start the recovery by default. The burden is 100% on you, the beneficiary, to throw up a stop sign and interrupt the process with formal action. Okay, so that's the problem. And yeah, it's pretty scary, but you are not powerless here. So let's shift gears and talk about your playbook. The actual things you need to do to protect yourself and your benefits. First things first, you absolutely have to know what kind of benefit you're receiving. This is so important. If you're on OSDI, that's your standard retirement and disability, the default withholding can be that huge 50%. But if you're on SSI, which is supplemental security income, the law protects you a bit more and limits the withholding to 10%. Knowing which group you're in tells you just how much is at stake. So this brings us to your checklist. These are the things you have to do. 1. Open and read every single piece of mail from the Social Security Administration. Don't let it pile up. 2. The first thing you look for is a response deadline. Find it, circle it, put it on your calendar. 3. Know your benefit type. 4. Understand you have options. You can appeal the decision, you can request a waiver, or you can try to negotiate a repayment plan you can actually afford. And number 5, which is the most important, do not ignore the notice. Because once that automatic withholding machine starts running, trying to get it to stop is incredibly difficult. It means more paperwork, more time on the phone, and a lot more stress, all while you're already trying to get by on less income. Being proactive, jumping on that very first notice is your absolute best defense. It's really your only defense. And this whole situation really leaves us with a much bigger question to chew on. Of course, we need a system to protect taxpayer money. That makes sense. But when that system runs so automatically that it can push vulnerable people into a financial crisis without any kind of human review, you have to step back and ask, is this system striking the right balance between protecting the books and the very real hardship it can cause for individuals? What makes Social Security overpayment recovery in 2026 so disruptive is not just the amount being withheld. It is the way the system takes effect before most beneficiaries understand that anything is wrong. For many retirees, the first real signal is not a warning or a clear explanation. It is a smaller deposit than expected, arriving without negotiation and without any adjustment period. By the time that reduction appears, the recovery process is already active. At that stage, the system is no longer asking for cooperation. It is enforcing repayment. Month after month, part of the benefit is intercepted before it ever reaches the beneficiary's bank account. And unless the process is formally interrupted, it continues until the full amount the SSA claims is recovered. This is why overpayment recovery is so often described as a silent error. The notice that triggers it looks administrative. It does not feel urgent. Many beneficiaries assume it is informational, something to review later. That assumption is what allows the default recovery to start. Once it does, the balance of power shifts immediately. The SSA does not evaluate intent when recovery begins. It evaluates deadlines. If a beneficiary does not respond within the required window, the system proceeds automatically. There is no additional review of hardship unless the beneficiary forces that review through a formal request. Until then, withholding continues. For retirees who depend primarily on Social Security, the impact is immediate and destabilizing. Fixed expenses do not adjust downward when income is reduced. Rent, utilities, insurance, and healthcare costs remain the same. A sudden loss of half a monthly benefit forces trade-offs that were never part of the retirement plan. Savings are drawn down, credit is used, healthcare decisions are delayed. What makes this especially difficult is that many overpayments are not caused by intentional mistakes. They result from complexity. Income reporting thresholds, delayed administrative updates, mismatched data between agencies, and retroactive recalculations create situations where beneficiaries believe they are compliant, while the system later determines otherwise. The consequence arrives long after the original event, when the beneficiary is least prepared to absorb it. This delay between cause and consequence creates confusion and disbelief. Beneficiaries struggle to connect a past detail to a present penalty. They assume the determination must be wrong. Sometimes it is. But disputing it requires action, documentation, and persistence. The system does not pause simply because something feels unfair. Another dangerous misconception is the belief that Social Security will automatically correct mistakes in the beneficiary's favor. In reality, the system defaults toward recovery. Relief is available, but only if the beneficiary requests it properly and on time. Silence is interpreted as acceptance. Once withholding begins, stopping it becomes harder. Even when a waiver or appeal is eventually approved, the financial damage during the recovery period can be significant. The time it takes to process requests matters. During that time, income remains reduced. This changes how retirees must think about Social Security in 2026. The benefit is no longer something that operates quietly in the background. It is an account that can be recalculated, reduced, and enforced based on compliance with reporting and response requirements. Treating it as static is a mistake. The real risk is disengagement. Some beneficiaries respond to enforcement by avoiding interaction with the SSA altogether. Others avoid work or income opportunities out of fear of triggering future issues. Neither approach improves financial security. In fact, disengagement increases risk. What protects beneficiaries is attention, knowing what type of benefit you receive, understanding how income and reporting affect that benefit, reading every SSA notice carefully, acting quickly when something does not look right. This is why relying on informal advice is dangerous. Friends, family members, and even well-meaning professionals often assume the rules are simpler or more forgiving than they are. Overpayment recovery is procedural. What matters is what is filed, when it is filed, and whether deadlines are met. If you receive Social Security today, the most important step is not panic. It is verification. Review your benefit statements. Review your income history. Review any notices received in the past year. If an overpayment notice arrives, understand that the clock starts immediately. This channel exists to surface risks that do not announce themselves clearly. Overpayment recovery is one of those risks. It does not arrive as a dramatic policy change. It arrives as a technical enforcement action that quietly reshapes monthly income. If this applies to you, do not assume the system will slow down on its own. It will not. The default is recovery. Control is retained only through action. Stay alert, stay informed, and make sure you remain subscribed because the rules governing Social Security enforcement continue to evolve. And missing a change can cost far more than most retirees expect.
Hello there. Are you currently navigating the complexities of retirement or perhaps rapidly approaching that significant life milestone? The Retiree's Handbook is your dedicated YouTube guide for all retirement and pension news right here in the United States. It's crucial to stay informed about your financial future. We cover understanding pension benefits and maximizing your Social Security, ensuring you have the knowledge you need. Our channel provides actionable financial tips for retirees, helping you confidently make the most of your golden years. Don't miss vital information that impacts your peace of mind. Join our growing community today. Thank you for watching. Your financial security in retirement is incredibly important, and we're here to help you every step. Please subscribe to the Retirees Handbook channel to never miss our latest updates and valuable insights. Join our community for continuous support, future pension news, and helpful resources to empower your retirement journey.